Hello everyone, this is Smriti Mishra from BrandWagon Online, and today I have with me Kartik Mohindra, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Pernod Ricard India. He is here to talk about his brand Chivas. So we'll quickly start with a set of questions. Kartik, my first question to you is, you've recently signed Hrithik Roshan as the brand ambassador. So what are the key reasons for associating with the actor?
I mean, Hrithik doesn't really need an introduction, nor does he, um, you know, needs to have a reason for us to pick him. I mean, the way we would look at it from a marketing standpoint is the brand values that we want to associate with the brand, which celebrity or artist or icon actually mirrors those particular values. And that really gives us the reasons for the choice. So, as far as Chivas is concerned, it's a brand which talks about made of great character. And if you replicate that and try to visualize that in a persona of somebody like Hrithik, he's not only it's not only a superficial view of that person, but he's got several character traits that make him the icon that he is. And there's a lot of inner depth and a lot of characteristics about him which actually make him the successful person that he is. And that's really what we're trying to portray.
Since you just spoke of made of great character, I wanted to understand, what are your plans of promoting the campaign that you're launching with Hrithik Roshan in terms of the mediums that you plan to launch it on. So, which mediums will essentially be leveraged for this campaign?
Well, Chivas is a massive, massive brand across the country, right? So there cannot be a singular medium with which we can actually, amplify the brand's proposition, right? And of course, India is a massive country. So we're going to have a multimedia approach, right, led by digital, OTT, television, print, outdoor, the whole works, right? That's how we're planning to take this through the length and breadth of this country.
Will you be spending more of the ad spends on digital, or will it be equally across different mediums?
Well, we have on board the top media planners, right? So it's actually a science. It's not something which is rather simplistic. I think the team, the brand team, and the media partners that we have, they work very closely to identify who our audiences are and what is the best way for us to reach them. You're absolutely correct. Digital and OTT as a medium is exploding, right? In the recent past, it is going to get more and more important in the years to come. But as we see it today, it's a very eclectic mix between media vehicles, and depending on what choices we have to make, we will make those. But there's no doubt about it. If one has to sit back and compare the spends that we would have had in digital, maybe even as close as 5 years ago to where we are today, there is a massive, massive increase, and it's likely to keep going up.
When you say digital is growing, how has it worked out for your brand in terms of, what is the kind of consumer response that's coming in from digital in terms of conversations, in terms of queries? What is the kind of conversations happening?
Also, yeah, so you see, that's what makes the medium so exciting. Because unlike let's say, the traditional mediums out there, there is no room for conversations, right? So it becomes more of communication from the marketeer's side, and the consumer sort of has to accept it or take it. But digital has changed that entire paradigm completely, right? They have an opinion, they are more free to voice it. It just actually helps us as marketeers to keep us on our toes. So we have to make sure that every little piece of content, every little piece of advertising that we're going to be doing is satisfying a particular consumer need and is not treading on paths that could theoretically be non-relevant to them. So yeah, it's great. We monitor these very closely. We encourage these conversations, right? It again gives us a lot of feedback. We also use digital many times for testing, right? To get consumer feedback, pre-testing on several concepts, whether it's limited to advertising, etc. So it's a very exciting medium with a lot of possibilities, and we as a team, as Pernod Ricard and as Team Chivas, we exploit every opportunity there.
So it's the start of the fiscal, and you've already announced Hrithik Roshan, and there are plans in terms of the new campaign with him. So going forward, what will be the marketing strategies that will be put in place for Chivas?
So I think first and foremost is going to be this big launch, right? And it's going to start very soon. And again, like I mentioned earlier, a multimedia approach. The first and primary objective is to go out there and create a massive impact with Hrithik coming on board and the new campaign, right? So that's going to be a primary level of focus. But going forward in the months to come, we're going to start building on, greater success stories behind what a made of great character really can manifest itself into the Indian context. Pick up those stories, talk more about them. We'll also further amplify our brand positioning through influencers and advocacy, consumer engagement, the whole works. So you'll see a massive explosion from our side behind Chivas in the year to come. We see a huge amount of growth potential. Right, it is one of the top luxury brands in the country, with a huge amount of consumer following, and we now want to take it to the next level.
Uh, you just mentioned about your plans in terms of influencers, in terms of going big for Shivers. So, does that also mean that you will be increasing your marketing budgets for this particular year, or will it be in like?
Of course. Well, let's put it this way. Very simplistically put, India remains, in the global scheme of things, India remains one of the biggest markets for the brand, with the maximum amount of growth potential in the years to come. So as a company, we are committed to investing behind this growth, and therefore, as our business expands in this country year after year, so will our investments.
One more thing that I wanted to understand from you is what is the kind of impact that the brand has seen during the pandemic in terms of overall user base, in terms of consumption? Has there been an uptick? So, what is the kind of?
Oh, massive uptick, massive uptick. Uh, Although, year-on-year growth figures are sometimes misleading because the pandemic has had a bit of a stop, start. People have been stuck at home, spending has reduced, etc. So, the growth figures are explosive, but they are also a bit exaggerated, right? Because when you're cycling against the same period of lockdowns in the previous years, it does tend to present a very different perspective. But having said that, if one really looks at it, uh, India has always been a high consumption and high spending market. But previously, if you were to ask me pre-pandemic, luxury brands like Chivas had a massive following, but there was also a bit of conservatism from a consumer standpoint, right? Chivas was kept for special occasions, for celebratory occasions. But I think what the pandemic has done is broken down several of these walls, right? From conservatism, we'd like to call it that the consumer has started to make very strong moves towards indulgence. No longer do they feel that they should support Shivers on a special occasion. It's now they want to pamper themselves. They want to indulge with the brand, right? So that's what's kind of democratized a lot of behaviors in the recent past. People are celebrating themselves, right? Home entertainment has taken way. People are now entertaining, celebrating more in home than out of home, which again leads to, you know, a lot of these, a lot of our luxury brands seeing that massive uptick, as you mentioned. So, I think in a lot of ways this was always likely to happen in the Indian context, but there's been an acceleration towards it courtesy the pandemic, and we actually see and we are betting big on this indulgence as a consumer insight to actually continue or if not accelerate in the years to come. And to us, Chivas is arguably the best place to capture that.
So, when you say India is a big market for you, currently, what is the share of the Indian market in your overall business, and how do you see this growing?
Well, we have a huge share. There's no two ways about it, and we are growing, and we expect to continuously grow in the years to come. So Chivas as a brand straddles across many brands and many categories. So therefore, it's not the easiest to actually give you a singular answer to it. But let's put it this way: we are betting big on explosive growth across all the forms that Chivas is available in this country. Luxury is massive and is likely to get bigger and bigger in the years to come. The only difference for us, of course, with this campaign is we believe as a brand that luxury is not limited to being materialistic or extrinsic. True luxury, true success actually comes from deep inner depth, and that's really what we're talking about, made of great character. Right? So,
In terms of the overall brand, do we see any new launches or anything in the pipeline for the year ahead?
well, I'm not at liberty to share some of those plans because they're still highly confidential. But again, like I said, we are committed to investing big behind Chivas and India. So this Hrithik campaign is one massive foot forward. It's a leap that we're going to be taking, and we're going to, of course, follow this up with several more exciting stuff on the brand.
All right, Kartik, thank you so much. It was wonderful to speak with you.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
me.